Yo, what's up, sports bettors? Happy Saturday morning. Already locked in some plays on PrizePicks as well as Underdog Fantasy, so I'm going to take you through what I bet. And I say this in every video, but I try to keep these videos educational. I think education is really important in sports betting. 99, almost every sports bettor, 99% of sports bettors lose long term. That's why the books are in business. So I really think it's important to kind of explain, how do these platforms work? How can you get an edge long term? And I'm just showing you what I'm betting, what I'm putting my own, money on. So hopefully you find this video helpful. Hopefully you're able to tail some of these picks. So you can see right here, my first play on PrizePicks, I have a 5-pick flex play, is Shaden over 5 map 1 to 3 kills, right? So you may be like, okay, cool, who cares? Why did you go with this play? And what you're going to see is Underdog Fantasy, they have his line higher at 5.5, right? So we have a line discrepancy. PrizePicks has the line at 5. Underdog Fantasy has the line at 5.5. So this is crazy, right? This is why sports betting can be so profitable, is all of these different bookmakers, they all set lines independently. And, sometimes their models get out of sync with each other, and you can find some really big line discrepancies, some profitable bets. So, one of the reasons I like esports, and if you use PrizePicks, don't shy away from betting on esports, is there's just so many games, right? So the sports books have a lot of surface area to cover. You think about the NFL, whatever. There's games on Sunday, whatever, a game on Monday, a game on Thursday, but there's a lot less games, so sports books can kind of focus. Whereas in esports, there's literally dozens of games every day, so there's tons of surface area and a lot of spots for sports books to screw up. So the tool I end up using to find a lot of my plays on PrizePicks is this fantasy optimizer on OddsJam, the fantasy optimizer. And this tool's pretty simple, right? All it does is it shows you line discrepancies between sports books. It shows you value in the market. So all it's doing is, reading in all these lines from Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, all the sports books, FanDuel, and pointing out discrepancies. So you're going to see one play right here, very simple, is Bvoy over 6 kills. That's the recommendation. Take Bvoy over 6 kills on PrizePicks. So you're going to see I ended up going with that. Here you can see my full PrizePicks slip, 5 different picks. And we'll go through some more strategy here in a second, but it's pretty simple, right? Everyone loves to overcomplicate sports betting. Find plays with an edge, find value in the market, lock them in, and you'll win long term if you have an edge. So if you look here, you're going to see the other fantasy sites, not a ton of sports books like Pinnacle and stuff like that. They don't post esports lines, but you're going to see PrizePicks has the line at 6, Underdog Fantasy's at 6.5, Sports Battle right here, which is another fantasy site, they also have the line at 6.5. So we found a line discrepancy. We found an edge. We found value in the market. And then you can see for this, Valorant play, Lyasaur over 23.5, it's really similar strategy, right? Underdog Fantasy has the line higher at 25. Sports Battle has the line higher at 26, right? So these are 5 data-driven picks I went with. And a lot of people, they tell me, they'll be like, oh, but like you didn't watch these games, right? Or anything like that. But what you have to remember is PrizePicks is, a billion-dollar company. They have invested millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, to price these lines. It's the same thing with Underdog Fantasy, right? There's a billion-dollar company. They have better models than you. They have tons of engineers. You're not going to be able to create a better model than PrizePicks, right? Watching sports is not what works. A lot of people think that's what works. But remember, 99% of sports bettors lose money long term. They're all watching sports, thinking they can outsmart the sports books, outmodel the sports books. It's just not what works. The way you make money consistently is you find discrepancies in the market, you find an edge in the market, and you capitalize on those discrepancies. So here are the 5 plays that I went with on PrizePicks, right? And again, get Underdog Fantasy, get as many of these sports books as possible, because you never know which book is going to be slipping up and have profitable bets on a given day. So an added benefit here, just one tip when you start betting on esports, is you're going to see these 2 players, Shaden and Revenge, they're both on the same team. They're both on Evil Geniuses, right? So here's my 5-pick flex, but these 2 players are on the same team. So one thing to note about PrizePicks that's pretty interesting, and I've explained this before, but PrizePicks is a fixed payout platform, right? So for example, if you look at, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, I apologize, right? PrizePicks, if you were to take Mahomes over and Kelsey under, you're getting a 3x payout. If you were to take Mahomes over and Kelsey over, you're getting a 3x payout. Right? On PrizePicks, they don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under. Any 2 picks, you're getting a 3x payout. So basically, when you're playing on PrizePicks, right, you kind of get the added benefit of pairing players from the same team, right? If Mahomes has a great season and throws for, 6,000 passing yards, then Travis Kelsey probably went over his receiving yards line. So it makes sense to play both players' overs together. That's called positive correlation in sports betting, right? So because you're getting the same payout, it wouldn't really make sense to take Mahomes over and Kelsey under. You want to take Mahomes over and Kelsey over. Positively correlated outcomes. So in League of Legends, if you go through the data, which I've done, is players from the same team are positively correlated to both go over. So if you can find 2 profitable bets, so you can see here, I'm on Scheiden and Revenge. These players are on the same team. Like you're going to see this play on Revenge, right? Underdog Fantasy has his line at 6.5. Sports Battle has his line at 6.5. PrizePicks has his line at 6. So there's value on the over. We're following the data. We're looking for discrepancies. We have 2 other data points telling us, hey, these really sophisticated sports books that have invested millions of dollars in their ability to set lines, they're both saying, no. This line should be higher at 6.5. PrizePicks is at 6. So there's an edge in taking the over, right? So we get the added benefit when we're able to find players in League of Legends on the same team. Taking them both to go over is an added benefit. Your plays are positively correlated, so this play's even better. So a common question that, people ask is like, okay, but why are you playing 5 flex plays on PrizePicks? Why don't you just play 2-pick entries or 3-pick entries? And I've kind of broken this down before. But again, PrizePicks is a fixed payout platform, right? Any 5 picks you select, you're always getting the same payout. Doesn't matter if you take overs, unders, whatever, right? Like any 5 picks, this is the payout that you're getting. So essentially, if you go through the math behind PrizePicks, what you're going to see is 5-pick entries are the best, right? 5-pick entries are mathematically optimal. So the reason for that, and I'll kind of show you, is in a 2-pick power play, and I'll include this spreadsheet, feel free to reach out to me, email me any questions you have. But in a 2-pick power play, if you're able to win these over-unders correctly, right, 57% of the time, so like Devontae Adams receiving yards, over-under 1275.5. If you can get these right on PrizePicks 57% of the time, you're winning 57% of your picks, you're still going to be losing money playing 2-pick power plays. Right? Your ROI is going to be negative 2.53%. You're still going to be losing money. Whereas for 5-pick flex plays, if you're able to win your props 57% of the time, your ROI is going to be 19.25%. Pretty good, right? So there's a massive difference in your ROI between playing 5-pick flexes and 2-pick power plays. So what's optimal on PrizePicks, given their fixed payout structure, is 5-pick power plays, which is why you'll notice what I'm always going with on PrizePicks is 5-pick power plays. You'll never see me recommend, or any sharp better, anyone making money on PrizePicks, you're never going to see them, giving out 2-pick power plays. Always 5-pick flex plays. But anyways, what we can do is we can go on to Underdog Fantasy, and I have some other picks that I'll take you through on Underdog Fantasy. So again, like these are platforms, Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks are platforms where they don't change your payout, right? Based on you selecting over versus under. So you'll see right here, right? I take over, under, whatever. I'm always getting a 6x payout on my parlay, 3-pick parlay on Underdog Fantasy. These are fixed payout platforms. That's the word for them, fixed payout platforms. So basically, because these platforms, they don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under, there's a pretty simple strategy for beating them. And what that strategy is you want to look for spots where sportsbooks have an over or an under heavily favored, right? And OddsJam, this is just the positive EV tool. You could also find this play on the Fantasy Optimizer, but, this play I found it actually on the Fantasy Optimizer for Underdog Fantasy, but I like just kind of showing all the sportsbooks to kind of help explain why this play is profitable. Is you're going to see every sportsbook, Bet365, they have the over for Nolan Arenado. They have him a lot more likely to go over 1.5 bases as opposed to under, right? The over is the favorite outcome. You look at Caesar Sportsbook, the over is the favorite outcome. You look at Fliff, the over is the favorite outcome, right? You look at Betway, the over is the favorite outcome. All these sports books are data points, right? Like if you take anything from these videos, I promise you will make a lot more money sports betting. If you just follow the data, if you take a data-driven approach, we have all these sports books, right? Right? These sports books are taking bets, moving around lines due to supply and demand. They have better data feeds than you, better models than you. Like, it hurts to say, but I'm not going to be able to create a better model than the sports books. I'm not smarter than the sports books and their lines, right? The way you beat sports books is you find inefficiencies in the market. And you're going to see all these sports books, every single sports book has Nolan Arenado a lot more likely, heavily favored to go over 1.5 bases, right? Pinnacle, sharpest sports book in the world. All these books are saying the same thing. He's a lot more likely to go over as opposed to under. So of course, on a platform like Underdog Fantasy where they don't change your payout based on you selecting over versus under, you'd rather take his over in your Underdog Fantasy entry, right? And OddsJam is just telling you which of these plays is profitable. So long story short, on Underdog Fantasy, it's a little different than PrizePicks. So on Underdog Fantasy, actually, 3-pick entries are pretty good. So on PrizePicks, if you try to create a little 3-pick entry, so I'll show you right here, what we can do is we can just create a 3-pick entry. On PrizePicks, these 3-pick entries, let's go right here, they only have a 5x payout. On Underdog Fantasy, for these 3-pick parlays, they're giving you a 6x payout. Right? So on Underdog Fantasy on PrizePicks, you never want to play 3-pick entries. But on Underdog Fantasy, it's actually optimal to play 3-pick entries or 4-pick insured entries. And here's what I went with for today. Right? So this M&E's play is super good. If you look at PrizePicks, right, it's the same strategy, right? There's no difference. Underdog Fantasy has this guy's line at 12. All the other sports books, parlay play, all these other sports books are setting his line lower at 11. So here is a spot where Underdog Fantasy is slipping up. There's value on Underdog Fantasy. So that's why I included this play. And long story short, here's the play I went with on Underdog Fantasy. 4-pick insured entry to win $600 if all these picks win. If 3 picks win, I win 150. But anyways, hopefully this video was helpful. Again, I try to keep them educational. I know for people who already, really understand this stuff, it can get a little boring. But again, education is the key to beating the sports books long term. Hopefully you found this video helpful and, thanks so much for your time.